Hello everyone, my name is Father Law, and today I've got for you a video that will be discussing the matchup between Lawbringer and the newest hero to the game, Zhanhu. So I am going to say that this video is going to be a bit shorter than other types of videos that I point out, as this is just a short and sweet to the point on the matchup between these two, and it's going to be a bit shorter because Lawbringer is heavily favored in this matchup for various reasons that will be covered in the video, but I just wanted to get that out there. As other types of heroes will obviously have more in-depth discussion. However, this is going to be mainly focused on just pointing out specific things and why it's so heavily favored in Lawbringer's favor. If you guys have any questions or anything that maybe I missed or didn't cover and you'd like to ask, feel free to leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to get to that as soon as possible and try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. If you guys like these types of videos, I'm trying to make videos at least once a week. Just leave a like, subscribe, or any comment, and I appreciate you guys for watching. So for starters, we're going to discuss Zhanhu's main mix-up, which is his unblockable light or heavy follow-ups. Now, this already is going to be in Lawbringer's favor. You wouldn't even have to look at anything else because Lawbringer has the highest health in the game and the highest parry punishes. That can only go one way. So for the light parry, which is pretty reactable at 600 milliseconds, you're not going to miss it if you try to get it. It's going to do 50 damage to Zhanhu. Now, if it were to hit, it'd be 18 damage. You'd have to land this attack almost 3 times versus Lawbringer to parry at 1 time to do the damage. That's not even taking into account that Lawbringer already starts out with higher health than Zhanhu to begin with. So by throwing this mix-up out, the light mix-up, you're going to always be behind in damage. Now, for the heavy attack, Lawbringer can also parry this. It's going to be 35 damage if the heavy lands, but if Lawbringer parries it, he gets the parry riposte, and then he gets the guaranteed heavy, and then the guaranteed heavy stuns you, and then he has his follow-ups that go into his chain. And so that's a guaranteed 40 damage from Lawbringer, whereas Zhanhu's maximum punish from this mix-up is 35, which means no matter which option you choose, you will always be at the disadvantage of Lawbringer outputting more damage than you are able to input, and the fact that Lawbringer starts out with more health than the Zhanhu to begin with. So we need to take all these factors into account. Lawbringer's defensive options are always going to overpower Zhanhu's main mix-up and his main form of damage, without even looking any further than that. So one unique thing that Zhanhu has in this matchup is that he can punish Lawbringer's shove with a dodge light. Now, that is good, but the dodge light itself only does 14 damage, whereas if Lawbringer is to parry this attack, he's going to do 50 every single time. So this attack is generally awful to use against Lawbringer. 14 damage compared to 50 for defending it. You could close your eyes and you could parry in one direction or either direction whenever you hear the sound, and chances are you could, if you did this over and over and over, you would still win the fight. And that's how one-sided this damage in particular is. So again, the dodge attack, even though it is fast, you'd have to land almost 5 times to do the same damage as Lawbringer does to you. To cover Zhanhu's parry punishes very quickly, they're actually kind of low. His light parry punish is only going to be a 30 damage heavy, and then his heavy parry punish is only going to do 15 damage. So I assume that's meant because he's going to go into his unblockable mix-up immediately after, but we already saw earlier that Lawbringer is actually heavily favored in that mix-up entirely. He also has a deflect, but it does not confirm damage, and deflects are already risky enough without or while they confirm damage, but the fact that this one doesn't confirm damage and all it does is stun makes it pretty much worthless to use. I doubt you'll ever see it very often unless you're just getting absolutely styled on by somebody who is very confident, because it doesn't confirm damage and all it does is kind of blind you temporarily. So you could use it to go up into your follow-up mix-up And you could also throw your undodgeable zone from this, but really all you need to do is just block left to counter the zone, and then just parry the mix-up as you would normally. And for Lawbringer, if you see the zone and you parry it, again, that's 40 damage, heavy parry, or you parry a standard mix-up. But really, the zone isn't really a threat, and the blinding doesn't really affect too much anyways. You should still be able to parry it for high damage. So the zone, his zone itself only does about 20 damage, and it has kind of a big sweeping motion, so it's pretty easy to tell when he's about to use it. So it's not very strong, his deflect is not very strong, and I really doubt you'll see this mix up very often, and if you do, it's actually very easy to beat, and very heavily weighted in Lawbringer's favor. So my final analysis of this matchup is that aside from having a very fast dodge attack that can punish Lawbringer's shove, Zhanhu doesn't really bring anything to the table very interesting or unique about this matchup. Actually, the only unique thing he brings to this matchup is his unblockable light-heavy mix-up, and that is actually probably the worst type of opener you could ever have against Lawbringer. As long as defense remains very strong in this game, Zhanhu will never be a good hero in general. So when fighting Lawbringer, who's actually arguably one of the strongest characters defensively, and definitely has the most powerful parry punishes in the game, Zhanhu will never stand a chance, and neither will any hero that comes out with a kit similar to him. So something needs to change in regards to that if he is ever going to be a viable hero or a valid pick against Lawbringer. So after all that, it's pretty easy to say that Lawbringer should win this matchup 9 out of 10 times, and that 10th time something should go very terribly wrong if Lawbringer is not winning against the Zhanhu. So if you guys have any characters that you'd like me to do for the next video that comes out like this, go ahead and leave them down below, and I will look at what you guys leave, because there are a lot of heroes to cover, so I would rather just go by what people want most rather than just randomly choosing, because there are actually quite a bit of heroes now. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.